Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It's where it is your one-stop shopping for Holy BatCast. That's what I'm trying to say. You can also find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. We are also on Patreon, so if you're a fan of the show, would like to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/holybatcast. No new patrons this week to give a shout out to, so just a shout out to all our existing patrons because we still love you and you're amazing. So again, you can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you want to check out some of the other shows that are part of the network, if you're bored, you got time to kill, you're trying to get through the work day, and you want to hear us talk about other crap, go to rf4rm.com and you'll find all those other shows and check those out as well. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. Hello. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter and on Instagram. It is just my name, Andy DiGenova. So I post all the Batman stuff to the Holy BatCast Twitter and Instagram, and on mine, warning, coming up, it's going to be all Halloween stuff because we're approaching the season, so you've been warned. Anyway, on this episode, we're going to be covering a little bit of news. There's some latest news around the DC Universe streaming service coming very soon. We're also going to talk something very random, but kind of fun. We're going to talk about our favorite Batman toys as a kid. We're going to review the next episode of Batman the Animated Series, and then, as always, we'll wrap up with the Wayne Manor Mailbox answering your questions. Joining me, I have a fantastic partner in crime. It's not my normal one. It is the permanent understudy. It's our favorite cuddly koala. It's Brendan Lowe.
Hello.
Hi, Brendan.
I always look forward to what intro I'm going to get. I sort of sit here just with bated breath going, what is he going to say this week?
Yeah. You are cuddly, though.
Yeah, for a skinny guy, I'm pretty cuddly.
If you were near me, I would give you a little eucalyptus leaf so you could munch on it and be so adorable.
Do you have a book of like Australian stereotypes there that you use? Or?
No, I just make them up. So
okay, yeah, it seems like it.
It's mostly from that episode of The Simpsons. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, I have noticed the the running theme there.
Anyway, not joining us is Jamie Drewley, because again, as we mentioned, pumpkin season has come, and the man has turned into a pumpkin, and so we're trying to get him turned back. We're speaking to the fairy godmother to see if we can turn that pumpkin back into a podcaster, but we'll see what happens. But the show must go on. Jamie or no, pumpkins or no.
Basic bitch that he is.
You know, such a basic bitch. He keeps asking me to brunch, and I'm like, what is brunch? Like, you wait an hour for, like, what is essentially lunch?
Yeah. He's wearing scarves a lot now, too. And
I know, right?
Really
and
weird.
Like leg warmers. And he takes really pretentious
Actually,
Instagram photos, like, of cozied up in a sweater with his little PSL and with, like, an inspirational quote of, like, living my best Indiana life. And it's like, Jamie...
We get it.
We're worried about you. He bought letters for his living room that just say "Live, Laugh, Love."
Oh, good Lord. I hope he listens to this. He better listen to this.
Basic. Oh, my God. Anyway, I'm glad, as always, that you were available to fill in.
Anytime.
As long as we make that, whatever it is, 18-hour time difference work. So
yeah.
It's fun, though. Keeps us on our toes. Anyway,
especially today.
Right? Yeah, sometimes we get our wires crossed, but eventually we make it happen.
It's all good.
Kind of, sort of.
We're here now.
We are here. We made it. We're making it happen. TCB, taking care of business. So let's talk about the DC Universe, because it's your favorite topic.
Oh, isn't it?
It is. The DC Universe streaming service. I know I'm counting down the days, and I'm sure you are as well. What was that?
Yeah, see, this is what happens. You mention DC Universe here in Australia, and the internet shits itself.
Yeah, the internet's like, we can't handle this. Even if it's just news about it. You can't hear about that news in Australia. Sorry.
Yep.
It is unavailable.
Yeah, less than a week away too.
Oh my God, I know. So there are some lucky fans out there who are already playing with the beta, which is super cool. I did not sign up for the beta just because I'm a slacker. But yeah, like a week away. Is today the 8th?
Well, it must be because it's the 9th for me. So
Yeah, so yeah, exactly 1 week on Batman Day. Batman Day is a week away, and it is the launch of the DC Universe streaming service, and it's exciting times. So of course, like when it launches, we're gonna get all the old stuff, old movies, old TV, comics, etc., etc., etc. We get all that, but we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for the original series. And so I guess the first pack of news, we'll jump around. So obviously the big original series is going to be Titans. That's like the launch one, but that isn't hitting till October, so we got to wait a couple extra weeks for that.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Which it's okay. I can wait. I've waited this long. But we learned that it is not dropping all at once. It's going to be released weekly. And
yeah, I kind of understand why, but yeah.
This is one of those situations where I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting it either way. So
yeah, I was just like, okay, like, I mean, that's fine. It forces me to be patient and it forces me to enjoy it over the long haul. So it doesn't bother me at all. And it makes sense. I get why they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. But did you see this? Apparently, and I don't know who said this, but apparently...
Is it what I'm looking on my phone right now that I was about to mention?
Maybe. Mention it, and I'll let you know if that's what I was going to say.
Netflix.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So please.
Yes.
Take it from here.
I saw just before, Batman News posted a story that, according to a new rumor backed up by the reliable @DanielleRPK, Warner Brothers and DC may be putting the DC Universe shows on Netflix for international fans. Which
and you do have Netflix.
Yes, we do. We do.
That's good news.
I'm happy if this happens, obviously. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, all I want is access to the exclusive shows. But I will still be disappointed that if they don't ever launch the full, app streaming service over here, because it is the one-stop place for, all DC fans. That's how they've sold it. And I'm a DC fan, but I don't live in America. And yes, obviously I've got all the movies and stuff like that on my shelf, just like everyone who will subscribe to this app does. But I still want to have access to it. I want to be able to watch the movies, on my iPad if I haven't got the DVD or Blu-ray with me. I want to be able to, read some of the comics and all that sort of stuff. Like, I want it. And I know it sounds entitled, but I want it, and I should be able to have it, because that is how DC...
It's 2018, Brendan.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's not a great reason, except for in Australia, it's 2004. So I think that your Netflix, you still get stuff in the mail, right?
Yeah, we never even had that version of Netflix. And also, I don't know if you've heard, but there's this new Catwoman movie coming out.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's going to be so
Halle
good.
Berry? Yeah.
Starring Oscar winner Halle Berry?
That's the one, yeah. Fresh off of Die Another Day. I can't wait.
Please tell me how that is. No, I totally get that. Like, you want to immerse yourself digitally in the DC universe, and so it's great that you will probably have access to the original shows. But yeah, it's a bummer that you probably won't have access to the app. And I've got to believe that they're working on it. Again, like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know if it could be like a licensing thing or something, because it's being put out by DC. They own all this stuff.
Well, I will tell you this. And I don't know what's changed in the past. God, it's probably been 7 years now. When I worked at Warner Brothers, I worked in digital distribution. Mm-hmm. And I actually had to manage which movies were available in which countries when.
Okay.
And it was all different.
Yeah.
So like Catwoman might be available in the UK, but is not available in Japan, and will become available in China in 2 weeks, but then becomes unavailable in Australia 2 weeks after that. And
so weird.
And that was true for like the entire Warner Brothers library.
Mm.
So I do wonder if that is the issue. Is like they know what the availability is for for domestic, for North America. But it becomes just this huge mess of keeping track of what's available where, when, if you're going international.
Yeah. Well, like I've said before.
Lucky me, I got to manage all that. And it was like, it made my eyes
That'd be
go
a
crossed.
nightmare.
Yeah, it was insane.
Like I've mentioned on here before, like we only got the full release of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and the Justice League series on DVD late 2016 over here. That was when all, and you guys had that for over a decade. What gives? Like I don't understand.
I don't know, man. But yeah, I mean, and it's because like, Netflix might have rights to Catwoman in Japan for this month. And so it has to be unavailable from other places for that month. But Netflix UK might not, and that's why all these other providers essentially buy the rights to a movie for a period of time. And so when they do, it has to be unavailable everywhere else.
Fair enough.
So it's,
but I mean, like we're only getting Teen Titans Go to the Movies over here this coming week.
Oh, wow.
Like that hasn't been released here yet.
And it's already gone here.
Oh, has it? See, and this is the thing where I, as much as it bugs me as a fan, this I do kind of understand because the way our school year is structured, like our school year actually goes by calendar year because, summer is in, December, January, February here in Australia. So a school year finishes a couple of weeks before Christmas, and then like our big summer vacation, our like Christmas/summer holidays are the same thing. So school then starts late January, early February. So like our school year, and then there's school holidays around the time of Easter. There's school holidays mid-year around June, July, and then there's school holidays in September. So they always try and make sure that there's kids' movies to come out to line up with the school holidays. So they held Teen Titans Go to the Movies and Christopher Robin that month or two, however long it's been since it was released over there. So it will now come out for the forthcoming school holidays in the next couple of weeks here in Australia. So I get it, but as a fan, it still irks me when it's something that I really want to see.
Sure. No, I totally understand. Anyway, so the premiere date for Titans is October 12th. So we have to wait just under a month from the release of the app to the release of the first episode of the series, which is exciting. But with this announcement came some additional imagery. So we got another shot of Robin with his bow staff and his R shuriken. We got another shot of Starfire still in her civvies, still in her civilian attire. So I imagine her costume is coming later. Beast Boy, and then Raven. So
they looked pretty cool.
Yeah, they look cool to me. The Robin one's really badass. But
again, I like the Robin one best because it's Robin.
Because it's Robin.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty badass. So that was cool. It's exciting times for those of us in North America, and hopefully they won't hold onto it for too long before you get to enjoy it there.
Legally.
Whatever works for you. Far be it from me.
If you have to find alternative means, and they don't give you much of a choice, well, too bad.
It's on them.
It's on them.
So Titans is coming, and then Doom Patrol is starting to ramp up production. And so we've gotten some additional casting, and we've actually gotten some first photos. They're not official photos, so I don't know if you saw those.
I didn't look too deep into them because I usually avoid like pap shots, but
yeah.
What I saw in the thumbnails and stuff looked pretty cool.
Same. I kind of like
again,
saw
I don't know
them
who any of these people are, but
yeah, I saw them while scrolling and didn't really stop and didn't try to go find the rest. I just was like, oh, okay, they're shooting, okay. So what I saw looked good, looked pretty spot on, but I like you, I kind of wait for the official release of a photo or something, but. In that casting,
this got my attention.
Well, there's a couple of there's one before I think we get to the one that's got you all hot and bothered. So Geek God Alan Tudyk is joining Doom Patrol as the villain.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, he's gonna be Mr. Nobody, and I don't really know Mr. Nobody, but I just like Alan Tudyk, and so I was excited about this.
That did get me excited. Yeah, so I forgot about that one, but yeah, it's not the one I was thinking of. But I mean, I like Alan Tudyk. He's fantastic. I've met the guy. He's lovely. Yeah, glad that he's joining the DC universe.
And I'm glad that DC gave him another paycheck after Powerless.
I've forgotten that already.
Which BT Dubs I liked. So come at
I
me,
didn't.
bro.
I liked it too. I watched it as well.
I enjoyed it.
Didn't. Oh, I thought it was funny. I watched it as well. I liked it.
Me too. I dug it. And
F me, right?
Fun fact: in it, Green Fury was in it.
Yes.
And the actor who played Green Fury, I met her at a Hanson concert. What?
So much Greek cred.
Yes,
geek cred.
yes, I did. But I didn't realize that's who she was until after she like went back to her seat, because she was like friends with a friend of my wife's, and they came over to say hi, and we just said hello, and I was like, oh yeah, she's kind of familiar, but she just looked like a normal person. And then Sam was like, oh, she's actually like a pretty successful actress. I'm like, oh really? So let me look her up. And I look her up, and I'm like, oh, she was Green Fury and Powerless. And so then I wanted to go bother her and get her on the podcast, but at that point I was too busy enjoying the sweet, sweet tunes of Hanson.
I was gonna say, did you like bop into her, and then she was like, "Hey, where is the love?" And
Yeah, it makes the world go round and around.
It does. I've heard that.
So it was actually the Hanson Christmas concert, if we're being really specific, which was just a whole nother layer of magic.
Well, yes, I could imagine.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Powerless. So anyway, Doom Patrol, Alan Tudyk, yay, we love him. And then the one that does get you very excited. Tell us about that one, Brendan.
Well, I can name the actor. I still can't remember the name of the character he's playing.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's Doom Patrol. But Timothy Dalton, has been cast as Professor X.
The Chief, which is not the same as the Professor. Okay.
No, not at all.
Listen, smartass.
Because he's got a beard.
And you might recognize Timothy Dalton from his most famous role of Neville Sinclair in The Rocketeer.
The Rocketeer, correct.
Absolutely.
That's exactly where I know him from, yeah.
That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Everyone
and don't forget Beautician and the Beast as well. We can't forget that masterpiece.
Well, I mean, it goes without saying, really.
Yeah.
So yes, he has joined Doom Patrol. So this was what was, I think Kelsey Grammer was rumored for this role. And I think an episode or two ago, I was like, wait, that never got confirmed, did it? Well, turns out, no, it did not.
Yeah, we were only talking about it. No.
Yeah, did not get confirmed because it is not Kelsey Grammer. It is Timothy Dalton, who I actually like even better as the Chief. So Dr. Niles Calder in Doom Patrol, and he is their wheelchair-bound leader.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously, people who know me know that I'm a huge Bond fan as much as I am, Batman and DC. So when those two worlds combine, which is very rarely, if ever, it makes me really happy. So I'm super chuffed about this casting. I can't wait I'm really excited to see this show now. But like I've been joking about not knowing anything about Doom Patrol and all the rest of it, but I did just want to quickly mention, it seems to sort of be the general consensus that not too many people know much about this property. At the moment, there's a big Labor Day sale on Comixology. With all the DC stuff's up to like 85% off. I did notice, because whenever they have those sales, I flick through because they often change what's in there. Mm-hmm. And this time I did notice on like one or first or second page, it was really early on. There is 2 Doom Patrol trades. One is the earlier stuff from the 80s and 90s, and one is brick by brick, I think it is, from like 2016, and they're both down to $5.99. So I grabbed them. So I can sort of read up before this show hits. So if people do maybe want to check it out and you get your comics digitally, or you don't want to like rush and, spend $30 on a trade, maybe now's the opportunity to just jump on and grab them. Like I said, they're like $6 each. So yeah, just a bit of a public service announcement there.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That's great news. Those Comixology sales, though, are dangerous.
Yes. The first one
I just started adding to cart, and then bad things happen.
Yeah, when I started the new job and I started getting like a proper paycheck again, they had one that not long after that, and in about 10 minutes, I spent like $230. Because I just bought tray. Like I just bought so much.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, it really was. Because the way I looked at it is like, well, that's if I'm spending $230, it was at least $500 or $600 worth of stuff. Because some of them were down from like $40 to again $5.99.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't feel so bad, and I've got now I've got a crap load of stuff that I can just read over time, and I have been. So I regret nothing.
Good. I support you. There are worse habits to have.
Yeah. I spent about $40 again yesterday too.
I haven't gone on in a while because I'm a little behind in my reading. It's really dangerous when I'm going to travel because I like to load up the iPad, and so then I get Comixology and start doing stuff. But anyway, it's exciting times. Doom Patrol. Thanks for the shout out for Comixology if you want to do some catch up on that. But that is shooting now, which is super exciting. And I believe they're going to be introduced in an episode of Titans. I believe.
Yeah, I remember hearing it because there is an episode called Doom Patrol, isn't there?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I wonder if that's what they're shooting now, or if they've already actually started the Doom Patrol pilot.
I don't know, because well, I mean, if you believe what we hear, like Titans was in the can, so
well,
I mean,
that's what I thought.
Who knows?
Except if that was true, they wouldn't have just made all these casting decisions for Doom Patrol.
Yeah, true, I guess.
Because they would have needed all them for the episode of Titans.
Actually, yeah.
Unless the Titans episode of Doom Patrol is just like they just talk about the Doom Patrol but never meet them. Like the Godzilla movie from 2014.
Yeah.
Speaking of pilots, though, they're also ramping up for the next pilot, for the next live-action DC show. We are just so freaking spoiled, guys. Enjoy this. And that's Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is coming up, and they announced the director of the pilot. It's not James Wan. James Wan is producing, but it is Len Wiseman. And Len Wiseman directed 2 of the Underworld movies. He directed Live Free or Die Hard. He directed
I don't mind that one.
He directed the pilots to Hawaii Five-0, Sleepy Hollow, Lucifer, and The Gifted. And then he also did the Total Recall remake, which I actually didn't mind. I thought that was decent. And I guess he signed on to the next Die Hard. So he's not a nobody. Like he's got a good amount of credits here, and so I think it's a promising choice for director for Swamp Thing.
No, whatever shows they make, I'm going to watch them. I mean, Swamp Thing's not a character I know a hell of a lot about aside from what's been given to us in animated series and movies. I've never read a Swamp Thing comic, but I always like it when he shows up. So this will be my big deep dive introduction to the character, fully, as opposed, like I said, just from what's been given in bits of comics and stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, it'll be super fun. It'll be very different, which is exciting. But we not only have a director, we also have an Abby Arcane. So Abby Arcane is essentially the lead of the show. She is the lead alongside Swamp Thing. And cast is Crystal Reed, who DC fans might recognize if they are still watching Gotham. So not all DC fans, but some DC fans will recognize her. She played Sophia Falcone in Gotham on this last season. But spoilers, she is now free to take on other roles if you watch the last season of Gotham.
I only watched the first couple of episodes, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. She's
I don't
she's
care
got
if
some
I get
free
spoiled
time.
On that show.
Anyway, I wasn't sure when she showed up on Gotham. I wasn't sure if I liked her, but I don't think it wasn't the actor. It was the character. I was like, I don't know if I like her, but she really won me over throughout the season. She was actually a really strong villain, and I think she was really good. So again, like Alan Tudyk and like so many others, I love it when DC just keeps taking care of their people. So it's like, we're done with Sophia Falcone, so hey, play Abby Arcane for us. And so here we go.
I didn't get, like I said, I only saw the first couple of episodes of the last season of Gotham, so I didn't get too much, too far into her arc. But what I saw, I thought was fine. I didn't have any issues, with her or the character. And I don't want to sound like a complete male, but she's very good to look at.
And she's one that has this
stunning,
like she's beautiful, but she has an energy that's that enhances her beauty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like this mystery about her. So yes, so I'm all for this casting. I think it's great. We also got another bit of casting, and that is Maria Sten has been cast as Liz Tremaine in Swamp Thing. Now, I have apparently Liz Tremaine is a close childhood friend of Abby Arcane's, who reports for the local newspaper and is a bartender. And so I don't know anything about the character, and I don't know the actor. She apparently was in Straight Outta Compton, but cool. For me, the news is they're ramping up and Swamp Thing's getting ready to shoot, which is great.
Yeah, that's more what I take away from it too.
So, whatevs. But exciting times ahead. DC Universe is a week away, so I need to block out my next Saturday and just order in and buy a lot of snack food and just sit around like a fat sack of crap and play on the DC Universe app all day.
And watch all the stuff you already have.
Exactly, but like saving myself all of the pain of having to pick it up off the shelf.
Right?
It'll be so worth it.
Because you're a fat sack of crap.
Because I'm a fat sack of crap. And I will be an even fatter sack of crap come next Saturday. You can count on
like with poking things with a stick and
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
Now if you just need to train the cats to like get them to like fetch you things and
Right. Yeah.
But they won't because they're arrogant.
I wonder if they can carry Cherry Coke on their back. Or
Lord.
nachos. So anyway, exciting times, DC Universe coming your way. That's pretty much like most of the news is around that because we are a week away. But we want to talk about something else, something very different, something unique, because this show, the whole point of this show is that we celebrate all things about Batman, or we try to. Sometimes we do a better job than others. So we talk about movies, of course. We talk about comics. We talk about TV. We talk about animation. We will talk about video games occasionally. But that also includes physical things that we can hold in our hands that bring us closer to the character that we all love. And I'm talking, of course, about toys. Because what's a Batman fan that didn't run around with Batman toys as a kid? And this is somewhat inspired by your show, Brendan, The Nightlight, which is much like the Real Fans for Real Movies podcast on a biannual release schedule now.
Yes, it is.
Which is exciting. But yeah, on your show, you and Steve have a couple of times been like, let's talk about some of our favorite toys. And so when we were brainstorming what we should talk about this week, I was like, let's do a version of your toy stories and talk about some of our favorite Batman toys. So it's something different, it's something unique, but hopefully you guys will enjoy the nerdy chat about some of our favorite Batman toys. Now, of course, toys are more fun when you can see them. So we're going to talk about them, but I'm going to also, try to post photos of them on our Facebook or on our Twitter or on our Instagram or maybe all of the above, just so you guys know what the heck we're talking about, because we'll do our best to describe them. But if it's a more obscure toy, you might be like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So we'll try to post photos so you guys can kind of see what we're talking about. Now, what Brendan and I decided we're going to do is we're going to count down like our top 3 Batman toys that we had as kids. But I just have a hunch that we're just going to talk about a lot of other Batman toys anyway.
I think the conversation's going to lead there.
Because who cares?
Yeah. I did want to point out how you said that, what Batman fan didn't run around with Batman toys as a kid. I like how you specified kid because, I'm 34 and I certainly don't still buy Batman toys.
Well, here's the thing. Like when we were going through, like trying to pick our favorite toys, I picked 3 toys from when I was like
so did I.
But you're right, like I've been buying Batman toys my whole life, and so there are certainly Batman toys I've purchased in recent years where I'm like, man, that's a really cool toy. But it's like I didn't play with it, like it sits on my shelf or it sits on my desk, and so like it's not quite the same. So I tried to pick ones that I actually like played with, if that makes sense. Where it was still a toy and not a collectible. Mm-hmm. Even though that line is very blurred.
It is.
So I didn't pick collectibles. I didn't pick like, this statue, because I don't act out my favorite movie scenes with statues.
Well, at least you're not going to admit if you do.
I definitely do with toys.
Okay, yeah, cool, gotcha.
And we are also talking about adult toys. So there's a wonderful line of Batman adult toys that you can find at your local adult boutique, and we're gonna talk about those too. Because
did your phone just go off then?
it did.
Because it totally vibrated in the background.
That was definitely my phone. That was definitely my phone.
That is perfect timing. I love it.
Nothing else. No. We'll leave those toys to allow you to Google those on your own. So yeah,
they're not officially licensed anyway, so it wouldn't count.
What?
They're not officially licensed anyway, so it wouldn't count.
That is true. There's some weird shit out there, my friend.
Yes, there is.
But I'm not judging, because you know what?
Hey,
live and let live.
You do you.
I support you. You know, like whatever you are into, like it ain't my place. Do you? Anyway, which has nothing to do with this life-size doll of Catwoman I have in the corner. It has nothing to do with that.
Is it the 2004 version?
Well, duh. The best version. Patience Phillips, the best version. Everyone agrees. Okay, for real. Let's talk about toys. So yeah, we'll talk about our three favorite Batman toys. And then just see where the conversation goes. So kick us off, Brendan. What'd you pick as your number 3?
Well, I do want to cheat a little bit and just have an honorable mention because it's not really a toy, but my Batman costume from when I was a kid, I probably played in that more than I played with the toys I'm about to mention. Like I used to love dressing up and playing Batman. But again, it's a costume and not really a toy. But yeah, I needed to give it an honorable mention because, oh man, I lived in that thing for many years. But look, my first toy, spoiler alert, I do have 2 Batmobiles in my 3, so I'm going to break them up here, and I'll go chronologically. So my first one is the Kenner Batman Returns Batmobile from 1992. And this is the one where the sides did pop off and it became the Bat Missile.
Nice.
Did you ever have that one?
I did not, which I'll get into, but I did not have that one. But you mentioning it, you know, I think what the problem with this episode is it's going to make me want to go to eBay.
Yes. Yes. Even researching, I was looking at stuff on eBay.
Yeah, I don't need any more freaking toys.
I still have this one at home, like at my family home, somewhere in my old toy chest there. I really, really loved this toy. I mean, hence why I'm talking about it. But there were a few little things about it that bugged me slightly. One is that the wheels, like the hubcaps of the wheels, were this bright gold color. I never loved that because the Batmobile didn't have that. And the other thing is, you know how on the Anton First Batmobile, the back of it, like just above the afterburner and everything, how it almost looked like it had I guess you'd call it a trunk. I'd call it a boot. It looked like it had that trunk aspect to it. It had the up in the sort of above the afterburner, it's got like the 2 sections where there's like those squares with lines on it and everything. Like it looks, you know the part I'm talking about, that textured part there. This toy didn't have that. So it just kind of went after the top of the cockpit and canopy area. It just kind of goes smooth down to the afterburner, and it always looked weird to me because I'm like, that's not what the Batmobile looks like.
But even then, we were super nerdy, being like, that is not screen accurate, and it's garbage.
And I mean, even so, I played with this thing a bunch. I had the Toy Biz 1989 Batmobile, the one that was the 2-seater with the open canopy. I had that, which I loved because I was able to put Batman and Robin in that. But again, even I got that when I was 5, and even then I'm like, but the Batmobile from the movie has a roof. This one doesn't. So this one looked more screen accurate. And also the Toy Biz one, for anyone that had it, it made noise when you pushed it. It made this really high-pitched, like engine sound when you pushed it. So it was really if you got up out of bed early or whatever and you wanted to play with your toys and your parents are still asleep, it was not the ideal toy to play with. Whereas this toy ran silent. So I that was another added bonus for this one for me as well. But I got this for my birthday, my 9th birthday, in February 1993. And I instantly fell in love with it because I knew it existed because I'd seen the photos of it in on the backs of the action figures and some of the other vehicles I had. And also, this is going back as well. I don't know if they do this anymore, but you'd probably remember in the toys you'd get the catalogs as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like those things, I'd almost play with those and read them as much as I'd play with the toys that I had. And I remember seeing photos of it in there. And for my birthday, I got this Batmobile, and I'd never seen it in the shops here. So I don't know where Mum got it from, but I'd never seen it. So I was just thrilled when I got this thing. And I used to play with it all the time and, would always be popping the sides off and making it the Bat Missile. And it was actually 3 vehicles because it was the Batmobile. The sides would blow off and you'd have the Bat Missile. And then the 2 sides you could actually clip together and they became what was called the Bat Drone. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And it has the gun parts as well on the front that open up and they fired little missiles and it was a great toy. It was only a single seater. But I love this thing. I played with it like crazy.
So, I guess in Batman Returns he still had room for another, but yeah, it's funny. He doesn't drive with anyone in the Batmobile in Batman Returns. So I guess it makes sense that they would just switch it to a 1-seater.
Yeah, but it like if you look it up, it's great. It's my favorite toy version of that Tim Burton Anton First Batmobile. It's awesome.
Well, I want it just because it transforms into the Bat Missile. So yeah, that's super tempting. It's interesting. None of my toys are Batmobiles because, especially as a kid, I never really had a Batmobile.
I had a couple.
I guess. Well, okay. Let me sort of take it back. I had a Batmobile that was the '60s Batmobile. And it was just plastic, and it was pretty small, and it had 2 little plastic, I don't even want to say figures, but little molds of Batman and Robin in the seats, but they were like...
Okay.
They were like one color, It was like Batman was blue, Robin was yellow, and they were just one color, and it was this little Batmobile, and it was at my Grandma Ruth's house, and so when I would go to her house, I'd zoom around with that. But that was it, that was kind of the only Batmobile I had because when 89 came out, I didn't get the Batmobile for that. And then by the time Returns came out, I was a little out of toys, which is kind of where I was going. Yeah, you're a bit older. Because I'm a few years older than you. So when Batman 89 came out, I was 10 years old. And so I was still at the age where I could play with toys and it was fine. By the time Batman Returns came out, I was 13. And then it was I still liked toys, but I didn't play with them the way I did 3 years prior. Yeah, I found 12 was sort of my cutoff for actually playing with toys because 13, you're in high school and, different things start taking your attention and all the rest of it. So yeah. I get it. I went to Batman 89 with Grandma Ruth and she did take me to Batman Returns as well, but I also went to see Batman Returns opening weekend on a date. So, you're
look at you, player.
What up? Your interests shift in those couple of years.
When I was 13, I went and saw Batman and Robin on a date.
Yeah,
I did not get a second one.
How dare you? Yeah, and that girl, she was my sister's best friend who I took to see Batman Returns, and she was the first girl that I really kissed, that I really count. But it wasn't after Batman Returns. It was after a concert. But yeah.
You didn't show me your French flipper trick. I'm sorry.
I did.
I'm sorry.
It totally worked. So anyway, all of the toys that I'm going to talk about are from that same era around 1989 because 1989 was Batmania. And it was when I was full on obsessed with Batmania, and little has changed ever since. But once that movie was coming out and I just could think of nothing but Batman, I just started collecting anything and everything with the bat symbol on it.
Yep.
Like, you name it, I wanted it. And we had these shelves in our bedroom. I shared my bedroom with my brother, but we had these shelves. And at the beginning of the summer, I had a couple Batman things on these shelves. And by the end of that summer, the shelves were overflowing with Batman stuff. And everything, flashlights and Frisbees and Taco Bell cups and just, I mean, you name it, pins, buttons, t-shirts. Like, if it had the bat symbol, I wanted it. And I would use whatever money I could scrounge together to buy it. I think at that point I probably had a paper route. That's probably where all this came from, because I never got an allowance as a kid. So like, I think I was still having a paper route at that point. So that's where I must have been getting, just buying all this bat crap. But yeah, I just piled this stuff on these shelves, and I wish I had more pictures of it because it was so fun. But anyway, so like, yeah, that summer, anything that was Batman, I wanted. And all of like my toy memories kind of come from that summer, because that was when I was, I was just so obsessed with Batman. So my first toys are not, it's funny, they're the smallest and probably cheapest toys you can possibly imagine. They were these little tiny PVC figures of Batman, Robin, Penguin, and the Joker. And they were maybe 3 inches tall. They were not articulated. They were just a mold. They were the comic book versions. So Batman was blue and gray. Robin, well, there was no movie version of Robin.
Robin, yeah.
Robin was just Robin. But yeah, Penguin was in the blue top hat. He was kind of in a fencing pose with one arm up and the other arm holding out the umbrella like a sword. And then the Joker, he had like both hands on his head, like he's laughing. But it was this little set of these PVCs. I think they were made by Applause. Applause is like a gift company. I assume they're still around. They usually make like mugs and stuff, but they make like little fun collectibles and stuff. Like if you go to the Hallmark store, a lot of that stuff is probably made by Applause. And so, yeah, I had this little set of PVC figures of Batman, Robin, the Joker, and the Penguin. And then I had some like alternate ones. So not only did I have like the Robin one with his arms crossed, I had another Robin one that was hanging from a rope by one hand and had a suction cup on the end of the rope.
Oh, cool.
So when I would play with him, like if I needed Robin to swing, I would just swap out the figure and now he was ready for action. Because again, none of them were articulated. They were just one static pose. But fortunately, like Penguin's ready to fight, so he's good to go. So it was really easy to fight with him and Batman and Robin. And the reason I picked these is because, number one, sometimes the simplest toys can bring you the most joy, because you're a kid. You don't care what something costs. You just care if it makes you happy. Those were the days, right? And then the reason I have like such good memories of it is every summer, my uncle Philip, who is the best, and he's still around, but he's amazing. Every summer, Uncle Philip would take me and my 3 siblings on some sort of summer vacation. And we would, keep in mind, this was the late 80s. We would pile in the back of his truck and put blankets and sleeping bags down, and we would just sit in the back of the truck. Like, and it had a cover, but like the 4 kids would sit in the back of the truck and like make a little fort back there while he drove us to SeaWorld, or he drove us to the zoo, or wherever, and he would take us on like, or Wisconsin Dells or something. And so like the back of that truck was like our little playroom on these trips. And so I have distinct memories of being in the back of that truck with sleeping bags down on the ground, hanging out with my brothers and sisters, but just playing Batman and Robin with these little PVC figures. And so
that's awesome.
I can't think of these little figures without thinking of sitting in the back of that truck. And so they're just a happy memory for me, and I love them. And they're simple, they're cheap. They probably cost $1 each, but I loved them. And I loved that I had, 2 heroes, 2 villains. It was really easy to make them fight.
That's really cool.
So yeah,
so
that's
innocent, such an innocent time.
I know. Not a care in the world. Before the world beat me down, showed me that all of this means nothing.
Exactly.
But yeah. So that's why I picked those. But I'm glad we brought up the Batmobile, because that Batmobile at my grandma's house is another really happy memory that I'd kind of forgotten about until we started talking. So that's a good honorable mention, because I knew that when I went to grandma's, whenever she was making dinner, I'd go grab that Batmobile and just zoom around waiting for dinner.
Do you still have it, or did it get lost over the years?
I think that one's been lost to the ages.
Yep.
My guess is that I still have these PVCs in a box somewhere, but I don't think I don't think that Batmobile survived.
Fair enough. That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame.
But oh well, these things happen.
Yeah, that's the beauty of eBay. Nothing's really lost forever.
Exactly. Speaking of eBay, this is one I was looking at last night, but I know I still have this at home, again, at my family home somewhere. I just don't know where it is. And this is, again, for me from 1992. I got this for Christmas. One of my Christmas presents. Christmas 1992, I got a guano load of Batman stuff for Christmas.
Amazing.
Actually, for many years, I reckon from about 90, because 91 was very Turtles. I think from 92 through till 96, every year it was always the same. What do you want for Christmas? Batman stuff. That was just I just always asked for Batman stuff. I didn't care. That was all I wanted. And thankfully
that's still all I want. I'm 40 years old.
Much.
That's still all I want.
And,
I'm a simple man, simple tastes.
Yeah, between 92 to 95 and everything, that's when all the Batman the Animated Series toys hit. So, I had stuff to keep me going in between. It was great. But this one it was referred to as the Ultimate Batman, but it's the Kenner 14-inch Batman, I guess, figure / doll from the Batman Returns line. It's very simple and very basic. It's a 14-inch Michael Keaton Batman doll, essentially. Not very posable, like just the arms moved. That was the only articulation on it. But this thing, it was movie accurate. Like it looked fantastic. Where all the action figures were, different colored variations and all the rest of it. This was Batman from Batman Returns, larger than life. Like I'd never seen an oversized figure like this before. So I loved it. And this thing, when I say I played with it, because it was so big, like I couldn't really, play with it in terms of, playing with all my other figures and stuff. It was too big. But this thing, I carried this thing around like other kids would have carried a soft toy, like a teddy bear or something.
Like a Care Bear.
Oh, mate, I took it everywhere with me. Again,
it was like your Woody, like when Andy goes to Pizza Planet, it's like, oh, I gotta find Woody.
Like that's actually a really good analogy because, like I said just before, like our Christmas and summer holidays were the same thing. So, that after Christmas, that sort of summer holiday period there, anywhere I went, if it was to the shops with mum for the day or up to my grandparents over, this thing came with me. I slept with it like other people would have a soft toy. This thing was solid plastic. It was very hard and rigid. It wasn't cuddly at all, but it didn't stop me. Like
Batman's always a little cuddly.
Yeah, because
he's protecting you
everywhere. Oh, exactly. And for years it sat on my shelf. Even through my non-Batman period, it sat there was kind of a shelf on my bed head as well. It sat there for years. When I got back into Batman hardcore in 2005, I transformed some shelves that I had with a lot of sporting memorabilia and stuff. I transformed those into Batman shelves again. It was there. Like I said, it is at home, at my family home somewhere. I just don't know where. And when I was doing a bit of research on these last night, I was looking at them on eBay going, you know what? Would it be worth just paying for another one rather than having to dig through all the crap and the hours it would take potentially to find it at home? But
do you know how many times I've had that same internal debate? Like I'm at like a convention and I'm like, I know I have this somewhere, but I could just buy it today and then I know where it is.
Yeah, but I do want mine. I have to admit, but I do at one stage. I do want to have this on my shelf again at some point, whether it's my original one or a cheap one that I can find on eBay. But this thing was great. I loved it so much, and yeah, I actually have the 95 version as well, the Val Kilmer one, but it's much more posed. Like it's sort of he's posed throwing the Batmobile, and he's actually came on a solid bat symbol base as well, so you could like lock the feet in position and stuff. But this one was very basic. The one from '92 was just straight up and down Batman. And
was it as basic as Jamie Drewley, or like?
No one's that basic.
No, I mean, yeah, he takes the taco.
Yeah, like honestly, you being the big Batman Returns fan that you are, if you can't remember this toy from when it was out, I would really recommend jumping on eBay, because it does essentially serve just as a statue. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, with you being such the Batman Returns fan, this is one I would highly recommend getting for your collection, because I reckon you'd love it.
Yeah, well, when you sent me the picture, I did recognize it. I didn't own it, but I recognized it. So, that's super cool. And I'm assuming when you mentioned the Val Kilmer one, he is throwing a Batarang?
What did I say?
You said he's throwing the Batmobile, which is impressive.
Did I? Oh, crap. Sorry.
No, I'm just making sure. Just getting clarity.
Yes, throwing the Batarang. Sorry.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Good.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love the idea of dragging this thing around wherever you went.
Oh, and it was one of those things too, because it was so big, and back when I first got it too, like it was so black, like the colors were so intense on it. And I remember getting a lot of comments from, like shop assistants and other kids and stuff would like point and like, it's got Batman. And I was just like, yeah, dude, he's mine. Back off.
Yeah, it's funny because I love hearing about like you getting the Batman Returns toys and the Batman Forever toys, because like I said, at that point I was a little old, so I definitely have memories of like going to Kmart or going to Toys R Us and like looking at the Batman Returns toys and going, oh, that's really cool or whatever, but I just never got them because again, at that point in my mind I was like, oh, those aren't for me anymore. I'm old now. I'm 13. And so
you know
I just
what's
remember
funny
looking at them. Yeah.
And it's all because of having that Batman figure back in 2005 when Batman Begins came out. They had the same thing except twice or maybe 3 times the size, with Bale in the costume, and I bought it because I had the same sort of thing except it was much smaller for Batman Returns. I bought it, and then again with when BVS came out. This one is sort of the same size as the Batman Returns. It's only about 14-15 inches, but they released those oversized figures for BVS. I bought the Affleck one because it's like, well, I loved having that one from 1992 so much. So, that whenever a new version of Batman comes out, if they release that style of figure, you can bet I'm going to get it because it all comes back from that original one I got in Christmas 92. I love those style figures.
Nice. That's awesome. It's funny because years later, I definitely filled in some of those gaps thanks to eBay. So I think I finally bought like the Batman Returns Catwoman figure. I finally bought the Batman Returns Robin figure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. He's my favorite character in that movie. So
yes, I remember seeing it, but never getting it because I was just like, what?
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
and even if he was in that movie, that figure is the wrong color, my friend.
Right. But I think, and I can't be sure, but I think that figure was molded to be like Marlon Wayans, which is why his hair is so high.
Yeah.
And then when they realized, oh, it's not going to be in the movie, color him white.
Fair enough.
But his hair is still really tall. So I don't know.
I need to Google image search that figure. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, but I had to get it because especially at that point, it was like the only figure of that Robin costume you could get. And so, yeah, years later, I went in and picked it up because I just liked it. But my favorite Batman Returns toy, and this is not my choice, but since we're talking about Batman Returns, is the Bruce Wayne figure from Batman Returns, where it's a Michael Keaton figure and he's wearing the turtleneck, and the turtleneck has a little like abstracted bat symbol on the chest.
Now, is this where you can change him? You can put him in the bat suit?
I think so. I think he has like snap-on bat suit parts.
Yeah, because I had the same figure. Remember how after Batman 89 came out, it was like the year later they released that? Because they really only had the Toy Biz stuff when the movie hit, and the figures were very limited and they didn't really look like the characters.
Right.
How they then released Batman, it was called the Dark Knight Collection.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. They released that Michael Keaton figure originally in that Dark Knight Collection series, and I had that one. and it was essentially exactly the same figure. I think it may have just been colored slightly differently, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was like when the transition from Toy Biz to Kenner happened. So Toy Biz had the initial license, and then by the time Batman Returns was going to happen, Kenner got the license from Toy Biz, and then you're right, they did the Dark Knight collection where they did a Jack Nicholson Joker, and they did, they did some more screen accurate versions.
I had that Joker too. He was one where you could do the hot and cold water, and his face would change. Yeah, I had that one.
But yeah, that Bruce Wayne figure, and it's funny because that Bruce Wayne figure is somewhat infamous because it's so silly, that, Bruce Wayne would walk around with a sweater that has the bat symbol on it.
Yeah.
But it's become like somewhat infamous to the point where I have actually seen a t-shirt you can buy that has that same design.
Yes, I've seen that too, and I've been tempted, but I'm like, that is so abstract.
I want to buy it. I want to buy it. It's so cool. No one will get it, but I don't care. I'll get it. I'll feel cool, but I love it.
It's one you could wear to a Comic-Con or something, and everyone would just, everyone would get it there, but in everyday life, people are just like, what?
Yeah. Do you watch the IT Crowd? Have you ever watched the IT Crowd?
I haven't, no.
Okay, the IT Crowd is hysterical. It's on Netflix.
I'm told that I should watch it.
It's ridiculously funny. But I have a t-shirt from the IT Crowd, and I stopped wearing it because I got so tired of people asking me what it was. Because I was just like, I don't need to explain it. Forget it. Anyway, so again, like Batman Returns, like I admired those figures from afar. I definitely got all the Batman Returns Happy Meal toys, though.
What were the Happy Meal toys?
So
over
the Happy Meal toys, they were all vehicles.
Okay.
It was 4 vehicles. It was the Penguin in the duck, but like the duck was kind of in the back, and in the front was a umbrella, and so as you pushed him along, the umbrella spun.
Okay.
So that was the Penguin. There was Catwoman. She was in a purple cat car that had a tail, and when you pushed it, the tail would wag back and forth.
Fair enough. Movie accurate. Awesome.
Just like the movie. Duh. And there was a Batmobile, and the Batmobile, you would push it, and the front would launch out like the Bat Missile.
Okay.
That one was pretty cool. That was my favorite one. And then there was the Bat Ski Boat, which had Batman's little head sticking out. So Penguin had his little head sticking out. Catwoman had her head sticking out, but the Batmobile did not. So the Bat Ski Boat had Batman's head sticking out. And that one, I think you pushed his head down and it would go.
Fair enough. Did you guys ever have the neck pens released over there? Does that mean anything to you?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. So over here at McDonald's, for Batman Returns, I don't remember if those vehicles came out in a later Happy Meal, but in the time where the movie was being released and sort of that hype was hitting, they were called neck pens. And essentially it was a half action figure. So imagine, and it was actually kind of very reminiscent of the Toy Biz Batman from 1989. So imagine that cut off at the waist, solid plastic, and then sticking out of the bottom of it was a pen, just like a black pen. So they did one for Batman, Penguin, Catwoman, and then the fourth one was the Batmobile, and the pen went in the afterburner, and it was orange. The other pens were black, and this one was orange, but they were called neck pens because they had like a cord around them, and you'd hang them around your neck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Google them. They were huge here. Like, again, and it's really weird because usually for Happy Meals and stuff, like Australia would get the same things as America, maybe at different times, but like the toys were usually always the same. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think maybe later they may have done the vehicles. I didn't get any of those, but I definitely got all the neck pens in the run up to the release of Batman Returns.
Did you wear them around your neck?
You bet I did.
Oh, I bet the ladies loved it.
Oh, mate, 8-year-old Brendan, they couldn't get enough.
They were like, look at that cute koala with a pen. If he needs to sign any koala documents, he's got his pen right there.
I do. Round my neck.
Round his neck.
It's like a lanyard, pre-lanyard.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course,
they were pretty cool.
I, of course, had the Batman cups from McDonald's. And I still think the artwork on those cups is some of the best Batman artwork ever. Like,
is this from Returns?
Yeah, for Returns.
See, I don't think we had those either.
There were the collector's cups, and there was one that was Batman, there's one that's Catwoman, there's one that's Penguin, and then there's one I think that was the Batmobile. And the artwork is amazing. Google
It's funny how none of the toys were ever Max Shrek, and he's the biggest character in that movie.
I know. Where's my Max Shrek action figure? Where's my Max Shrek McDonald's cup? There should have been a Max Shrek Happy Meal toy where he pushes his secretary off a building. with secretary pushing action.
For the kids.
The Penguin one, he had a button. If you push the button, he just says, "I'd like to fill her void."
I thought it was going to be boob groping action.
Yeah, that also works.
Yeah. Or nose biting action.
Ooh, see, so many options. It's not too late.
Yeah, for the kids.
But the cups had lids, and the lids were little Frisbees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were little Batman Returns lids that were actually little Frisbees, and they were super cool. So yeah, those cups and those lids are awesome. Again, I'm sure those are in a box with all the rest of my Batman stuff.
I don't recall ever I don't think they were released over here either.
I'm sure they're super brittle at this point, and if I tried to take one out, it would crumble in my hands, but they were cool. But none of this is my number 2, so I'm sorry.
I knew we were going to go off on tangents.
I just wanted to talk about Batman Returns because there was so much stuff during that time, but again, it wasn't like, at that point, I wasn't like collecting toys. So going back to 1989 or thereabouts, when I was in just collecting Batman everything, I managed to get this 15-inch figure of Batman. And again, it was the comic style. It was not the movie style, but at that time, this was so crazy about 1989, is it was Batmania. So much of the merchandise was not movie-based because I think everyone underestimated the strength of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so they didn't make movie merchandise. And so everyone who had any sort of Batman license, they produced merchandise based on that. And that's what I ended up buying so much of because, and it was all like comic stuff.
Yep.
So this one was, there was this weird gift shop in my hometown of Lockport, Illinois, and they had just like random stuff like antiques and picture frames and you know, like, it was a gift shop. So just a lot of random stuff. But they had some toys and collectibles and things like that. And they had this 15-inch figure of Batman. And my mom bought it for me. And in my mind at that time, 10-year-old Andy, I thought it was the best looking Batman figure I'd ever seen in my life. I thought I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. It is very much like the Neil Adams Batman. It's the gray and the blue. He's super chiseled. He's big. He's 15 inches. He had a cloth cape. But for me, I was like, oh my God, that's the best looking Batman I've ever seen. And so I got it, and it was like the centerpiece of my collection for a long time. And
that's what I was like with that Michael Keaton one I was just talking about. It's something about the size of it because that was kind of rare back then.
Yeah. And so I didn't really play with it so much as I was like, oh, it's so pretty, I want everyone to see it. And so when people would come over to my house, I would drag them into my bedroom and make them look at it.
Which is funny, you still do that as a 40-year-old.
You know, I mean, the more things change. And so I'm sure all of like my mom's friends or any poor adult who happened to wander into my house in 1989 and 1990 had to deal with me dragging them to look at this Batman figure because I thought it was a thing of pure beauty, and they had to feign interest. This stupid kid who's like, isn't that the best Batman you've ever seen? And I truly believed it. I was like, it's just so wonderful. And I was so in love with it that I knew that they also made a Robin. And I was like, well, if they made this Batman so good, I can only imagine how good Robin's going to look. And so I was able to get the Robin one, and the Robin one, not as good. It's fine, but like it didn't have the same effect on me as the Batman. The Batman one, I wanted to, like put in, a sealed case for the ages. And the Robin one, I was like, okay, that one's fine, but it just didn't have the same effect, but I wanted them both. And so I had them both. And again, when you're a kid and everything is toys and so much of that stuff on that shelf was just junk, again, like 4 buttons for $1. Yeah, I'll buy them, like that kind of a keychain. Yeah, of course. And so it's just a shelf of junk with the bat symbol on it. These were like the nice pieces. And so I was just super proud of them.
I totally get it. You're preaching to the choir, my friend.
Yeah. So, I just thought they were the best things in the world, and I adored them and loved them. And again, I hope they're in a box somewhere in my sister's garage. That
You
I'll
have
probably
to dig them out one day.
That I probably won't. I'll probably die first, but maybe. Maybe
Always
someday.
the optimist.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is. Oh, and so I found out. I thought they were also made by Applause. They're not. I did look it up. They were made by Hamilton Gifts. I've never heard of Hamilton Gifts. I don't know if they're still around. But I thought for sure it was Applause, but it's not. It was some random gift company that had a license to make Batman, and so they made these to take advantage.
Cashed in on that sweet Batman money from 1989.
Cash in on Batmania. I don't blame you, and it worked on me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I saw the photos, and they're very much of their time. I think they look great. Like, I love that old style Batman art. So yeah, I thought they're awesome.
Well, good. And you can imagine, like, especially like putting yourself back in that time, like why?
Yeah. Like I said, I think those oversized figures, because again, I could just be speaking from my point of view. I don't know, but they're just not something that was very common back then. Like, I never really saw figures of that size. Like, figures were always what are they normally, like 6 inches thereabouts?
Something like that.
Yeah, like, so see, like, just the sheer size of them, and of course too, when you're a kid, everything looks bigger. And I don't know, that's probably a big part of it as well, because they're just these huge things of something that you love. I don't know, could be wrong, but that's my theory.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, like, when you're that little and you get something that quote unquote nice or that large, you're just so proud.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So yeah, that would be my number 2. That was the longest road to get to my number 2. But hey, whatever. People are listening to this to hear about Batman stuff, so I don't feel too bad about it.
No, neither do I. So for my third, we're jumping to 1995, and I apologize to Andy in advance, but we're not going to talk about the movie.
I'm absolutely shocked.
This is the Kenner Batmobile from Batman Forever. Now, this was kind of special to me in many ways. I guess looking back on it now, this 95 was the last Christmas that I really got a slew of toys for Christmas. Like, I did in 96, but I got a gaming system.
Right.
So, that was kind of more, it was sort of, then, the following year, it was like my first proper personal CD player and stuff like that. So I was getting older and I wasn't getting the quote unquote toys. So it's special for that reason. It's also special because honestly, when I think back to my time as a kid, like I said before, it was always Batman stuff. Like, I didn't care what I got, as long as it was Batman related and I could play with it. I was happy. This is the first time I can really remember, and it's weird because I was older, but I desperately wanted something specific, and I really wanted the Batmobile from Batman Forever. I guess because I had Batman Forever figures. I had
they can't walk.
No, yeah, and I didn't.
Gotham's a big place.
I was always someone as a kid playing and stuff, like, it needed to be right. It needed to be accurate. And I didn't have the Batman Forever Batmobile. The closest I had was, do you remember the Legends of Batman series from kind of the mid-90s? I had that Batmobile, which was the grey one that had like sort of the red missile at the front. It was a kind of a silver grey color, had the red missile at the front, and it had 2 really big fins at the back. So I kind of pretended that was the Batman Forever Batmobile because of the big fins and everything. But to me, it still was like, no, I need the Batmobile. So I like begged for this thing desperately.
Was this your Red Ryder BB gun?
It kind of, for 1995, yes, it was. Like, I wanted this thing so bad. To the point that, I think it was like the day before Christmas Eve, like I wrote this thing to my mum, and it was just like random words, but the start of every word spelt out. I think it was like, I would really love the Batmobile for Christmas. Yeah.
And did you say with a fin that big, you'll poke your eye out?
No, she didn't, thankfully. But so of course Christmas morning came and I got it and I fell in love with it. It was whether you like that car or not, the toy is very, very screen accurate. Like the mold is fantastic. It lit up like the one in the movie. My only bugbear with that was you couldn't press a button and keep it lit up. Like the button at the back it would only light up while you were pressing it down.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard to.
So even the toys had neon.
Yes, this one lit up. It lit up blue like the movie. It had the big fin on the back, which I don't know what it was about that fin. It was like aesthetically, I just think because every Batmobile I'd seen up to that point had the smaller fins, and this one, I don't know, just something about that fin struck me as an 11-year-old kid. Don't know. The front, like the nose part, shot off because it was a toy Batmobile. You always had to have something that shot off of it, which I never got. But anyway, the big fin at the back actually split in the two fins, which kind of always puzzled me a bit with the 95 Batmobile, because there was some marketing for the movie where the fin was always split, but in the film, like, you only see it split for like a split second.
It's that one shot when Dick Grayson steals it.
Yeah, like and they don't explain it. But there was, and some toys, like some of the might have even been Hot Wheels cars and stuff that were like steel. They were with the split fin, and I remember some of the coloring in books, it was with the split fin. So I never quite got why it did it, but the toy did it, and it looked pretty cool. And also the two little fins on the side, they lifted up as well, and they had little guns in there and everything, because why not? But yeah, this thing, I wanted it so bad, and I got it, and I loved it. And it was the last Batmobile that I ever really played with. So that's why I knew it was probably going to make you roll your eyes a bit. And I know in the past you've made jokes about, the Batman Forever Batmobile and the fin and what I do with it. But
hey man, like I said earlier in this episode, it's not my place to judge what works for you. I'm very liberated, and I support you in whatever you need.
No, this toy's, and this one I know is still at home, and it's just the fact that I don't have room on my shelf down in Brisbane where I live now to have it there, but it would be on there. And I loved this toy a lot, and like I said, because it was the last one really in that childhood period that I ever played with, and it was the last toy that I remember just wanting desperately. And so for that, it'll always hold a special place in my heart. So that's my third and final.
And you got it. Success.
I did. I was very happy.
Thanks, Santa.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. Especially like at that right age when you're, totally. I get it. So yeah, like much like Batman Returns, I did not, I was even older when Batman Forever came out, 3 more years.
And you didn't like the movie, so.
And I didn't like the movie, but I was still excited for the movie until I saw the movie. But at that point it was more like, oh, I needed a t-shirt. It was more about that kind of stuff than it was, I had the soundtrack on CD. So it was more about that. More about that than the toys. And so much like Batman Returns, like years later, I filled in a couple gaps. So I do own the 2-pack of Batman and Robin.
I got that for my birthday. Christmas was December. My birthday was February. That Guardians of Gotham pack. Yep.
Yes.
They were great figures. That was an awesome set.
Well, and that's why I got the 2-pack, because those are like the screen accurate versions.
And they are, the only screen accurate figures.
Because every single packed one was some weird variation that like I didn't want. And so I got the 2-pack of Batman and Robin, and I got the 2-pack of Riddler and Two-Face, because same thing. The most screen accurate version were the 2-packs, and all the single packs were just weird,
However,
weird ones.
The Two-Face figure had a different colored suit. It was purple instead of that kind of pink color. the standard Two-Face figure was very screen accurate.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the standard Riddler, I can't even talk. Riddler figure, however, had like this weird like mind contraption on it. So even when you took it off, and he had the lever like molded into his arm, so he always had this weird like lever thing on his arm. But yeah, the Riddler was the only screen accurate one was in that double pack, but the Two-Face was different.
Okay, so yeah, that was when I was like, okay, that's all I need for Batman Forever, and I mean, you could argue I didn't even need those, but I was like, there's that completist in me where I was like, if I'm going to own the figures for Batman Forever, those are the ones to have.
I'm at the stage, I will admit, where I've kind of been looking on eBay for the most tame kind of screen accurate, just single George Clooney action figure, because it's like I have nothing Batman and Robin, and the way I've got my shelf set up now, I've kind of got them going chronologically film wise, and it's that's I kind of feel like I need to have like at least an action figure and maybe like the Hot Wheels Batman and Robin Batmobile. Just it's not much, but just to so it's there. So
of course,
again,
you got to represent.
Yeah.
I'm the same exact way, which is why I got those. And yeah, I mean that's more than I have for Batman and Robin. I don't think I have a single toy for Batman and Robin, but do you know what I have for Batman and Robin, which is pretty cool? What? I have an Eggo plate that came with Eggo waffles.
That? Oh, okay. Yep, gotcha.
It came with Eggo waffles, and when you look at it, it's the logo for Batman and Robin. But if you put a hot Eggo on it, the logo disappears, and then it's artwork of Batman and Robin.
That's kind of cool.
It's very cool, Brendan. It's magic. All it takes is a hot Eggo waffle, and the plate transforms, Brendan.
Does it
transforms.
Does it have to be an Eggo? Can it be anything that's hot?
No, it has to be an Eggo.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. No, I refuse to try any other type of waffle because that just feels perverse.
I just hope that Stranger Things continues all the way through to 97 now, so we can see like a late teens 11 get her Batman and Robin Eggo waffle plate.
Yeah, I randomly just uncovered this plate recently within the past 2 years. I think I was home in Chicago. My mom, as she tends to do, brings me a box of crap and is like, oh, I found all this stuff. It's yours. And I'm like, oh, what do you want me to do with this? Like, this is not fitting in my suitcase. What do you want me to do with this? But in that was the Batman and Robin Eggo plate. And I'm like, well, I'm keeping that. Yoink.
Please tell me you've got it on like a plate stand somewhere. Like it's on display.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's displayed right next to my 15-inch Batman because they're the two crown jewels of the collection.
That's awesome. I love it.
I literally think that's the only piece of Batman and Robin merch.
I'm Googling that shit now, actually, because I never knew they existed.
It's real. I'm sure you can eBay it for $1.
Probably, which is probably like $20 to get it over here for me.
That's probably true too. But yeah, so I mean, that's just it. Is it's like they're the completist, and you want some stuff, right? And again, most of mine is in boxes, but
oh wow, here they are. And is it kind of got like a transparent like outer, and then the center's the logo?
Yes, that's it.
Cool. I'm looking at it right now. It's actually pretty cool.
Isn't that wonderful? It's the best thing to come out of that movie.
No, I like it.
So yeah, it's super fun. Anyway, to go to my final favorite toy, there's a whole. It's kind of a cheat because I have like one favorite toy, but it's also like the entire line, and that is so. Even before 1989, I loved Batman, but it wasn't until 1989 that like I became obsessed. But like prior to 1989, there were the Superpowers figures.
Mm-hmm.
So there were the Superpowers figures, and I never had them. The only one I had was the Joker, and I don't even know how I got the Joker, but I had the Joker, but I had nothing else. And the Joker figure was great. He had like the long tails on his tux. He had a big mallet. You squeezed his legs, and he pounded the mallet. It's a great figure. And
that's not a euphemism at all.
It's so that was like the only Superpowers figure I had, but all the Superpowers figures had some sort of action like that, but I never had them So like I had to just admire friends and stuff, superpowers from afar, because I can only speak for me, but like growing up, I couldn't have all the different toys. I grew up poor. And so it was like, oh, like, you know, like my family was like, no, Andy, you're not starting a new toy line. You collect He-Man or you collect Ninja Turtles or whatever. But like, so superpowers was like never an option because it's like, no. Like you're not starting a new one. We can't afford to start a new one. That's what you have. So I had, you know, Masters of the Universe was like the big one for a lot of years. That was what I had the most of. And that was when I was even younger. So it made more sense. And then I really got into the real Ghostbusters. And so I had a bunch of stuff for the real Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And so because like those were kind of my two main toys that I collected, like superpowers was not really an option. And so I just was like, oh man, those are so cool. I want those, but I never could have them. And right in that same time when superpowers was a big deal, this is a fun thing. Burger King had a promotion where they had 4 cups for superpowers. But the cups were action figure cups. So it was like an action figure of Batman, and his arms were outstretched in front of him, and then the cup hooked into his arms.
Oh, wow.
And then they had Superman, Wonder Woman, and Darkseid. And so it was these 4 superpowers style of those 4 characters, and like they were like figures, and so essentially the figure became the handle for the cup.
Okay.
And the reason I bring that up is because that was something I was always like, oh my God, those are so cool. I was a little kid. And then probably about 3 or 4 years ago on eBay, I bought them and now they're in my cupboard. So
I'm Googling them now. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
They're awesome. Yeah. So I got the whole set on eBay for probably like $20 a couple years ago. Now I have them. So anyway, like point is I loved superpowers, but I was never able to start that collection. Then 1989 rolls around. And now Batman is everywhere, and that's all I care about. And so Toy Biz gets the Batman license. And so for Batman, all they release is Batman, Joker, Bob the Goon.
Yes.
And so I got those figures. I got all 3 of those figures. And
I didn't have Bob, but I had Batman and Joker.
And there were various versions of Batman because like his face changed. I feel like I got the best one because it looked the most like Keaton.
This is one that had the belt that sort of extended and everything, isn't it?
Yes. And so like his utility belt kind of came out and he had like a little winch inside his body. And so he would like pull up on the utility belt. Mm-hmm. And then the Joker, he had like a little tube that you stuck into his back so you could squirt his flour.
Yep.
And again, there were various molds of the Joker. And to your point, like it didn't look anything like Jack Nicholson.
No, not at all.
And he had a little hat, he had a little cane, and he had like the squirting flour. Batman had the little batarang, and he had the utility belt. And then Bob the Goon, which is the, it's almost the infamous figure of the line because they were like, of everyone in the movie, you made Bob the Goon? But they needed to make someone, I guess. Like, but you know, no Vicky Vale, no Alexander Knox. No Alfred, no Commissioner Gordon.
And that's kind of how he got the name Bob the Goon too, isn't it? Because that's how it was branded on the package, wasn't it?
Exactly, because yeah, in the movie he's just Bob.
Yeah.
But because the package said Bob the Goon, that became his name.
I've only ever seen it in real life once, and I was in Canada in early 2014, and there was this dingy, like I think it was in Montreal, there was this dingy comic book store, like it was an old sort of dungeon style. You walked in and it just stunk like body odor. Like even I didn't want to spend a lot of time in there. But they had a Bob the Goon. It was in the packet, but the packet had been opened. And I was looking at it. It was like, I think it might have been like $60, and that's, you know, not in Australian dollars either. And I was like, oh, and I left it there because I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't really justify that amount of money. And you know, if it was maybe still mint in the package, I would have maybe strongly considered it. But yeah, it's the only time I've ever seen it. I've never ever seen it here in Australia anywhere. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I still have him somewhere. So when you come over, we'll play. It'll be super fun. You know, we'll send Jess somewhere to have drinks and we'll play toys. But Bob
I'm
the
holding
Goon,
into that too, by the way.
he came with the karate kick. And so essentially the kick would work a couple of times and then I could never get the leg back down. So he just kind of stood on one leg the whole time.
Fair enough.
Because Toy Biz was like, and here's the thing, I got nothing but love for Toy Biz. No kidding. I got nothing but love for Toy Biz.
They were your childhood.
Yeah. Well, and they took Batman when no one wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, good on them. Like, how smart were they to go, nobody wants to make toys for this movie? We'll do it. And it put them on the map.
Yep.
Good for them. Like, I think that's great. And I have a lot of love for the figures they made over the next few years, including the Marvel figures, especially the X-Men figures. Oh, my God. The Toy Biz X-Men figures. I have so many of those guys. So, yeah. And it all started because they grabbed Batman when no one else wanted him. So... but like this was kind of, I feel like their first foray. And BT Dubs, I really want the Toys That Made Us to do a Batman episode where we get to hear about all this stuff.
Yep.
Because I'm just kind of making a lot of assumptions and I would love to hear it for real. But anyway, so yeah, you had the three figures. You had Batman, Joker, Bob the Goon, and then you had a Batmobile, which I never got because, again, poor. Like that was out of our price range. Yeah. And so, and then... the crown jewel here, and I've told this story before, I don't remember why, but I told the story of I found the Batwing in a Kmart or Walmart, something, and I found it on the shelf in the toy aisle, but it was marked down to $9.
Holy shit.
And I think regular price was probably like $25, maybe
wow.
20 in 1989, and I had $10 again from Paper Route, who knows, and so I was like, I felt like I had found the Holy Grail. I was like, there's no way this is only $9. I can't like that. There's no way, they must have marked it wrong. And so I bought it, and it was like the happiest day, not of my life, but the happiest day for a long time, because I felt like it was such a steal. I got the Batwing and it was only $9. And much like the other Batman toy, anytime someone would come over, I would show them my Batwing and go, I got it for $9. And again, I think I've said this before. My mom's boyfriend at the time, his name was Jerome. He was a cool guy. He was funny, but he goes, Andy, it's going to be on your gravestone. I got it for $9. Because so I was just so proud. And so I got home, I put it together all by myself. It came with the little claws in the front of the Batwing, so you could, in the movie it grabs the balloons, but on the artwork on the toy it grabs the Joker, because on the toy box it is a villain cruncher.
It is. I had this obviously as well, just so you know. I'm fully aware of what yeah.
But yeah, I put it all together, and it had the little villain cruncher with a little trigger, so I could crunch the Joker in there. It shot out little suction cup missiles.
Yes, it did.
But no matter how many I shot them, it would never hit the Joker. Like, it would just always go right on either side of him. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yep. And they'd never stick to anything either.
So yeah, like this thing was like my favorite thing, and much like that Batmobile, I had Batman in it, and I would just run around the house flying this Batwing, being as happy as could be. And it was the coolest thing I ever, not ever got, but it was like a pure joy. And I'm sure I still have it. But it was like this huge, success for me. And the reason I brought up like wanting superpowers and not being able to get them is because after Toy Biz got the Batman line, they got the rights to all the DC characters. And so in addition to the Batman movie line, which was 3 figures, they made an entire line of DC superhero figures of everyone. Mm-hmm.
I had the Superman.
Yeah, so they made Superman, they made Robin, they made Wonder Woman, they made The Flash, they made Hawkman, they made Lex Luthor, they made Mr. Freeze, they made the Riddler.
I had that one
Penguin.
As well. Yep, and the Penguin.
They made the Penguin. The Mr. Freeze was one of my favorite figures of all time. It's like the coolest design for Mr. Freeze. It was the coolest toy.
I can't remember that one. Googling
Oh,
now.
It's so good. Google it. Toy Biz, Mr. Freeze, 1990-ish probably. And you put him in the freezer and he turned blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like they all had an action, the Flash.
I can't remember that one. He looks his head's very Lex Luthor, isn't it?
Yeah. You wound up the Flash and his arms would just kind of vibrate. Lex Luthor had a little punch. It was kind of chubby Lex Luthor with like a purple jacket. But anyway, I got all of those. And so I felt like it was like my second chance to get all the characters I couldn't get when superpowers was a thing. I was able to like get them all when Toy Biz did their DC Superheroes line, and I got them all. And I was obsessed with them and I loved them. And yeah, so like I saved up my money to make sure I got all of them. And they each had a little action, but what made me laugh was the Riddler, who of course I had to buy because, you know, I like the Riddler. He just came with a little paper scroll of shitty riddles.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, he didn't have any action, no punch, no kick, no nothing. Just a little piece of paper with some crappy riddles on it.
And he very much sort of, minus the mustache though, he reminded me very much of like the John Aston Riddler from the 60s show because he had the black hair.
Yeah, black hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the Superman had the kryptonite ring?
Yes. Guess right, because there was like a magnet in it.
The reverse magnets, yeah. And you put the ring near Superman and you'd fall over.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I had that one.
And I think Robin had a karate chop.
Yes, he does, because I actually still have that Robin on my shelf. It was my first ever Robin action figure. For Christmas '89, I got the Batman '89 Toy Biz Batman with the belt that we were talking about, and I also got the Robin, and the Joker. And yeah, I would have that Batman and Robin in that original Batmobile all the time. Yeah, I still have him on my shelf.
Nice. So yeah, I'm sure I still have these figures somewhere. Again, who knows where? But so the actual favorite toy was that Batwing, because that Batwing, again, I was like, I felt like I won the lottery. But it was a
good size, and I loved how it had my favorite part of it, even as a kid, how it kind of had that. It had the sort of the gun trigger thing for the claw, but that meant it had like a I guess, would you say a handle or something underneath it? So it was really easy to fly around. Like none of the other Batwings that came after that, because I had the animated series one too in the mid 90s. It didn't. I wished it had that holder, the handle on it, because it made it. Yeah, it was really cool and easy to fly around, and you weren't holding it from the top or whatever. It was. I loved how it had that handle.
Oh, totally! It made it so much easy to fly around the house.
Exactly.
It was so user friendly. So yeah, it was, yeah. So it's not just the Batwing; it was that whole line, because I just, it was all the DC characters. I was able to collect them all finally, and it made me so happy. And I even have a recollection of like trying to make a stop motion movie with them.
Oh my god, that's
with
awesome.
My dad's camcorder.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so I was like trying to like make like Lex Luthor and Superman like walk towards each other and like fight. And after like 15 minutes and realizing that like I didn't even like have a second yet, I was like, oh, F this, I'm gonna go watch cartoons. So I didn't get very far on it, but I had the best intentions.
Look, if you had stuck with it, man, you could be working for Leica.
Right? The path not traveled.
I do remember as well, because I mentioned like right at the start how my Batman costume, how I spent a lot of time in that as a kid. I do remember using that Batwing. In the '66 Batman movie, is it the Bazooka? What's the thing that they use that deploys the bat charges to the sub?
Yeah, the Bazooka. Yeah. I think that's right.
I used to pretend that the Batwing was that, because it had the handle and the trigger and everything. I used to pretend like I'd be in my costume, and I used to pretend that was like the Bazooka. And I pretend to like shoot things with it because it kind of had that gun feel to it.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I used to. I used to not just play it as the Batwing. That was also my Bazooka.
Perfect. I will also say,
imagination.
I know,
thing of beauty.
It's a wonderful thing. Eventually, the crown jewel of my collection became. You remember the old Warner Brothers stores?
Actually, yeah, because we did have one on the Gold Coast here in Australia.
The Warner Brothers store was the coolest. I wish they were still a thing. God, I love them.
Do I.
They had the best stuff. Anyway, just because you mentioned the costume, I have to give a little shout out to this. So, my dad, we lived with my mom. My mom and dad had been divorced forever. And so like my dad would take us on weekends and he would do stuff with us. And every once in a while, it was like the coolest thing. And now being an adult looking back, I know what he was doing, but at the time I didn't care because it was the best thing ever, is he would take us to the mall and give us each like $50 and be like,
Jesus,
go have
that's
fun.
a lot of money back then.
I mean, maybe it was 50. I'm guessing. I'm fuzzy. It might have been 25. I don't
Still,
know.
for a kid, like
Yes.
that's a lot of money.
So, but he would like take us to the mall. He'd give us each a little bit of money, or maybe a lot of money. 50 does feel too much. Like maybe it was 25, maybe it was 30. I don't know. But he'd give us each some money, and he'd be like, "All right, go have fun, and I'll be over here, and we're gonna meet back here in 2 hours." And it was the best. Like, and again, as an adult, I'm like, "Oh, he just wanted a break."
Yeah.
He just wanted to go to the food court and hang out. Like he just wanted to relax, and that's fine. I get that. I don't blame him 1 second, because for us, we were like, oh my God, we have money. Let's go buy something. And so
Not just money, but freedom.
yeah, exactly. And again, like different time, like that was what you used to do. Is it'd be like, like when we would go to theme parks or we'd go to water parks or we'd go to the mall, it'd be like, all right, go run free. See you back here in a couple hours. That was just the way it was. And now I feel like you can't do that anymore. Or can you?
Couldn't. I don't know.
I don't think you can.
Maybe not. It's
I mean, probably
sad,
with
isn't it?
teenagers. Probably teenagers, but like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wouldn't anyone under the age of maybe 13 or 14.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll find out if I ever have kids. At a certain point when I go, okay, go run free. And if I get dirty looks from other parents, I'll go, okay, wait, maybe not. Maybe
Or
next
just
year.
if you just start feeling really anxious, no, I'll come with you.
Right. But yeah, so like we would go run free and it'd be like, oh, what are we going to spend our money on? What are we going to spend? And my sister would always spend her money at the record store because she was a music person. And so she always had to buy tapes. And I remember one time we went to the Warner Brothers store and they had the Batman cowl, and it was the Batman 89 cowl.
Nice.
But it was like too much. Like I didn't have enough money on my own.
Yep.
And so me and my brother bought it together. So we pooled our money and bought it together. And because we shared a bedroom, the shelves of Batman crap were technically both of ours, like we both love Batman. And so like we were like, well, let's buy it together. And so we bought the Batman cowl, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And like we put it right in the center of our Batman collection, and it became the new centerpiece. And it looked like crap on me because I was a kid and it was huge. And so it never looked good, but it was just like this amazing thing. And to the point where like me and my brother would always be like, when we grow up, who's going to get to keep it?
Who did get to keep it?
Well, it eventually just disintegrated because it was rubber,
Yeah.
Eventually we just threw it. I think eventually it just got to the point where it was like sticky and crackly, and we're like, I think it's had its time. So,
It's funny is you mentioned that, and I've mentioned the Batman costume. Again, me wanting things to be accurate, it used to bug the crap out of me that the eye holes on the sort of the one-piece hood/cowl thing that came with the costume was really big, and also the ears were just material, so they never sat upright. It always looked weird. It never worked. So as a kid, I got like one of those cheap plastic face masks, and I used to put like the hood cowl cape thing on with the costume, and then I'd tuck the ears in. And I put the plastic mask on, which looked better, but it then had like plastic on the outside and the ears were just at the front. So even that used to bug me slightly. So I never ever had like the proper cowl for a Batman costume as a kid. And they weren't things that, honestly, they weren't ever really sold over here. Like toy stores, and like we didn't really have costume shops and stuff because Halloween's not a thing here, or it definitely wasn't back in the in the 80s and 90s. So, they just didn't have a market for it, I guess. And when the first time I came to America in 2006, I was on Hollywood Boulevard, and you probably know it. I think it's still there. It was still there, at least when I was there in 2014. And there was this huge costume shop on Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah. And dude, I'm 22 at this point. And walking through there, and I found it was the Michael Keaton. It was more a Batman Returns one. I found the cowl, and it was big, and it wasn't that cheap, but friggin' bought that thing because as a kid, I desperately wanted a proper Batman cowl. And this is one of the first times I'd ever seen one. And yeah, it looks rubbery and kind of cheap. Like the bat symbol looks a bit crappy because it's all one piece. But dude, I have that thing on a styrofoam head in my house still to this day, to the point where I actually painted the styrofoam head and everything to make it look like, it's a Batman head. And I love, it's one of my favorite, Batman pieces, just because I longed for it so much as a child. And actually I do remember once, it was early 96. We were on holidays at the Gold Coast, and I was looking through one of the big toy chains here in Australia. It's called Toy World, and it still actually exists. And I was looking through this bin of something, and I found it was a kid's rubber Batman Forever cowl, but it was the Sonar, so it was like the grey. And I still to this day don't know why. I don't know if it was too expensive or what the deal was, but I begged my mother, because she knew how much I wanted like a proper Batman cowl, to get me this, and she didn't get it. Bitch. No, I'm kidding.
You're the worst, Mom.
But yeah, I was so disappointed. I was gutted because I'd never seen one before. And like, again, when I saw it, I thought this thing was the Holy Grail. I'm like, Mom, and yeah, she's like, oh no, you're not getting that. I'm like, but she said, no, put it back. I'm like, but.
Well, because knowing parents, some days they were just like there were just some days where they're like, no, we're not getting anything today. We're not buying toys today.
And I get it. I totally get it. But and so as I said, 22 years old man in America, I saw this Batman cowl, and you bet I bought the thing.
Yeah. Well, so I remember having this Batman cowl, and I knew it was 89 because it had the 89 logo, but like you said, it was attached.
Yeah.
And the reason it was definitely, we purchased it between 89 and Returns, probably closer to Returns, but it was before Returns came out, because when I went to go see Batman Returns on that date, it was a double date with my best friend Dillip.
Yes.
And so Dillip was over at my place, and we were waiting. I think one of the girls' parents was driving us because we couldn't drive yet. And so we were waiting for them to come pick us up. And when they pulled up, Dillip put on the Batman mask and like ran out into the street in front of the car. So I just have this image of him wearing that Batman mask, and like he had a much bigger head than I, and so like it was like super tight on him.
And they always looked good from the front but terrible from the back because they had sort of that Velcro seam.
Well, this one did not have the seam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one did not. It was just pulled it on.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. The one I've got sort of got like a Velcro seam at the back.
Yeah, so I have another one now that my brother actually gave me, because years ago, maybe 10 years ago, my brother decided to make his own Batman costume just
cool.
for shits and giggles. And he did a great job. It was very like 89 Returns-ish. I want to say it was Returns. Like it was, and he made it himself, and it was really good, but he did buy the cowl. He didn't make the cowl. And he went to a bunch of costume contests, and he won some contests and stuff. And eventually, I think he just got tired of looking at it, and he was like, "Hey, do you want the cowl? Because I'm done with it." And so he gave me the cowl, and it has that seam, and that one actually fits me quite well. So that's the one I use when I go out and fight crime here in California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's not bulletproof, which I learned the hard way.
And you really can't turn your head in it.
Yeah, but that's okay. I think it looks cool when you move your whole body. I like that.
So what you're saying is you've got yours, I've got mine. I'm coming to America next year, so I should bring the cowl, is what you're saying?
I think we need a Bat Brothers photo shoot.
See, you joke, but I'm half thinking now, like, will it fit in my bag?
Well, so, I mean, like, it wasn't that long ago. A couple Batman days ago, I went to Sprinkles.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
That was the new cowl.
Yes.
And it fits me pretty good, yeah.
Yes, that is that. I'm pretty sure that's the one I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this has been super random, but super fun.
And you know what? We've been going a while, but I could keep talking, hey?
Toys and stuff. I wanted to give another shout out, and again, I didn't pick it as a favorite because I was an adult, but like in the mid 2000s, they came out with a line of Batman action figures that were like 100% comics based, that I think were like the best sculpted Batman figures of all time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what line. I think the line literally was just called Batman.
Yep.
But it had like the Tim Drake Robin, which was, I think, like the best Robin action figure ever made. And it had the villains, but they were all comic book based, you know, and I have the Riddler. And I think that was the line that also morphed into some DC line. Mm-hmm. It started as a Batman line and then kind of morphed into like the DC line, where they started doing all the other characters. But I want to give a shout out to that line too. Again, I think it was the mid 2000s. But just some really great sculpts in there. And I only got some of them because I was trying to be sensible. So I think I have Batman and Robin. I know I have the Riddler. I think I have Scarecrow and Bane, maybe? Like, they had some really good ones.
Yeah. I do, actually, it's funny you say that because only a couple of weeks ago now, I was at a Target here and I saw, because I always walk past the toy aisle because I'm 34. And I did see there's sort of a new line out now it seems to just be sort of generic Batman, but it's very much the DC Rebirth style. So Batman's kind of got just the symbol with the yellow outline, and the Robin's actually really cool. And to me, it looks like
I haven't
like
seen
Tim
them in
Drake
the store.
Robin.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in the store, but I've seen them posted, by fellow Batman fans on Twitter and stuff. And I think that I want to say Everyone Loves the Drake. They posted the picture of the Robin, and yeah, they're really cool. And
yeah, they look
kind of
cool.
want them. Yeah, they're really good. That Robin one is great. So toys are fun.
They are.
Is my point.
They are.
They're
indeed.
fun, and I have too many of them.
There's no such thing. Don't you dare say that.
Well, ask my wife. Fun going down memory lane, talking about all these toys. Again, we'll try to post some photos of them just so you guys know what the heck we're talking about. But very cool. So
this was so much fun. I had more fun than I thought we would, actually.
Me too.
And I knew we were going to have fun.
I mean, we always do. Podcasting with you, Brendan, it's like pizza and sex. Even if it's bad, it's still pretty good.
It's still pretty good.
Still
Can
pretty
I just
good.
go to say quickly, who's Eli Hernandez?
I don't know.
Did you see what he's tweeted?
He just tweeted you
son of
something very sweet. So I recognize the name, but he's not someone that I talk to a lot. But now that he tweeted this amazing photo, he's my favorite. So Eli, well done.
Cheers, Eli. You son of a bitch.
He tweeted that Simpsons Australia flag. See, Eli
It's
gets
just so
it.
funny
Brendan.
because he hasn't even heard this episode yet, and you've referenced the Simpsons Australia episode.
It turns out that Eli is psychic, and he knows things.
Mm-hmm. Good on you, Eli.
Yeah. Anyway, super fun. Again, one of these days, my dream is to have a man cave that I can line with shelves and get all these toys up on shelves because, again, right now they're just collecting dust in boxes. But as long as I live in California, I think that remains a pipe dream. We'll see.
Yep.
But it's good to have dreams. But do you know who has dreams? Baby doll. Mm-hmm. Baby doll's got dreams.
Baby doll gives me nightmares, but anyway, carry on.
So before we completely wrap up, it's time to take a look at the next episode of Batman the Animated Series. All right, so we continue our journey through Season 4 of Batman the Animated Series, also known as the New Batman Adventures. This episode is Love is a Croc, and as I hinted at, and as Brendan hinted at on the last episode, he could not wait for this episode. This is a Baby Doll episode. So Baby Doll is working at a hotel, and she takes a liking to Killer Croc, watching his trial on TV. She feels different. He feels different. She thinks they're kindred spirits. So she goes and visits him, and then she busts him out of jail. They start a very weird relationship.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, Killer Croc is like, okay, I'll use her for now, but as soon as we make enough money, I'm out of here. Baby Doll learns of this, and so she decides, well, I'll just kill us both then. That'll be fun. And all this time, Batman and Batgirl are trying to stop this very bizarre love affair. So Brendan, what is your favorite episode of Batman the Animated Series, and why is it Love is a Croc?
It's this episode is a crock, I'll tell you that. I kind of spoiled last week. I don't like this episode. I don't like Baby Doll. I didn't like her in original incarnation. I don't like her in this version. I don't like putting her and Croc together. I don't like Croc in this version either. I prefer the old Croc. I watched this episode less than 24 hours ago, and even when you were recapping it then, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I thought, yeah, that's what happens. Because I forgot. And part of that is, well, a large part of that is, honestly, maybe 5 minutes in, I switched off. I was playing with my phone. I hate the character. I get what they were going for. I really do. And it in theory, it's a good idea, I guess. Maybe the execution just wasn't the best. I don't know. She does nothing for me. And I know it's stupid, and I know it's a kid's cartoon and some things you just need to go with. But I'm sort of like, okay, you're working at this shitty hotel because clearly that's all you can, you're doing this to get by. You're not doing it because you want to. You're doing it because you have to. And when she decides to team up with Croc, like all of a sudden it's like, well, where are you getting these exploding, jacks and like bouncy balls that shoot gas? Like, where is this coming from? Like, what is going on here? And you mentioned the weird relationship. Like, Jess was sitting on the couch near me while I was watching this yesterday. Even she made a comment. She's like, you're not watching this episode. I'm like, oh, I know. And I put my phone down. But at the end of it, she just turned to me and she's like,
thank you, Jess. Make him do his homework. Thank you.
She's like, what is their relationship? She's like, are they like just teammates? Like, are they partners? Are they like partners? And if they are, how the hell does that work? Like, are they romantic? Like, what is going on there? And I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care because I friggin' hate this episode and I friggin' hate Baby Doll, except I didn't say friggin'. Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. The story does nothing for me. I honestly, I have nothing nice to say about this episode, so I'll just shut up.
Cool. I'm just glad that you got to do this one. Like, this is like, stop trying to make Baby Doll a thing. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Baby Doll's not going to happen. So
doesn't matter who you team her up with.
Yeah, it didn't work the first time. They were like, no, I think there's really something there. There's not something there. Just let it go. They can't all be winners. Let Baby Doll go. So the one thing I will say is I prefer this Croc look to the old Croc because he's green and he looks more Croc-like. I never liked the weird albino Croc from the first version.
See, it's weird. The more Croc looks like a Croc, the more I dislike the look. I really like sort of like he kind of looks more human and he's got that skin condition, and that's why it's more a nickname than like a literal he's a crocodile.
Yeah. I get that, but for me, his name is Killer Croc. I got no problem with him being a Croc. So I respect like what they were trying to do. I respect like, hey, let's try to team up these two random characters and see if it works and see if it happens. Because I talked a few episodes ago, there was an episode that was like Nightwing and Catwoman. And I loved that episode because I'm like, that's really fun to throw these two characters that don't usually have adventures together and do an episode on that. And for that, I thought it worked really well. And so I respect that they tried to do it here. They were like, Baby Doll, Killer Croc, let's give it a go. But sometimes it doesn't work. And I do side with you, as this doesn't really work. I respect that they took the chance. I respect the attempt to do something unique with these characters, but it's just bizarre. And it doesn't quite work. So, I don't have much nice to say either. Like, I don't get too hung up on like, where did she get all these gadgets? Because that's
I know it's stupid, but that's what I thought yesterday. I'm like, what is going on?
She has a well-stocked storage unit. But yeah, like, I mean, the Baby Doll character was just, there's a reason she didn't catch on. And even with their best intentions of trying to do something different with her, for me, it doesn't quite work. And it is a weird thing. So obviously Baby Doll is romantically interested in Croc, but I'm going to say that they didn't consummate.
Yeah, well, you would hope not.
That's what I'm going to say. So let's go with that.
But even the redesign, like, she's got that weird, like, just cylindrical looking hair, and it's just nothing about it works, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I will say, like, Batman is kind of barely in this.
Yes, that's what bugs me even more.
Yeah,
it's like, how can you not stop her? Like, how can you not, even with Croc, how can you not stop this child person thing?
Right. So, not the strongest episode. Again, I respect the attempt, but sometimes it works out.
If it were a 60s Batman show, it'd probably work great, but it's not. So it just doesn't work.
Yeah. So Love is a Croc. Indeed.
Yep.
Best episode ever. So now I'm going to find an action figure of Baby Doll just for you.
It
Brendan.
exists.
I'm sure it does, because there's that great Batman the Animated Series line.
Yeah, she came with Killer Croc.
Did she?
I'm pretty sure she did.
Wow.
She came as like the accessory for Killer Croc.
Well, I got to buy one for you. I got to buy one for Jamie.
We do buy each other Christmas presents, don't we?
Yeah. Everyone gets a Baby Doll. You get a Baby Doll. You get a Baby Doll. So, what would you go with a letter grade on this one?
Look, it ain't the Farmer Brown episode, so I'm not going to go like F, but I would say, D-.
All right. I'll go D+. I'm going to be a little kinder.
Okay. So an average, it's a D then.
Yeah. Doesn't always work. So that is Love is a Croc. Definitely watch it tonight.
And now it worries me that I've mentioned Farmer Brown. You can bet it's going to work out that I'm going to land on that episode too.
Hopefully. So next episode up is Torch Song.
I think from memory that's a weird Catwoman one. I think
it's a Firefly one.
Firefly, okay.
Yeah. So I have no recollection of that one. So, well, it'll be interesting. We'll see if it comes back to me. So anyway, if you're doing homework, watch Torch Song in time for the next episode. But this time, Love is a Croc. Now, let's wrap up as we always do by checking in with you fine folks in the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, first email here is from Mark Wilson. It says, "Hey guys, sorry it took me so long to get around to doing Patreon, but I did it finally. I'm happy to help the show roll on because it's my favorite. I'd like to ask you if you would ever consider doing an episode on..."
If he says Batman toys...
Dude, I swear these emails are psychic. Okay, it says, "Would you ever do an episode on action figure toy lines, namely the Kenner Dark Knight run and the Batman Returns run, as they were my favorites, and I grew up with them throughout the 90s. I love the show as always. Keep up the good work. Your Bat Pal from London, Mark."
You're welcome, Mark.
Mark, what? That's crazy. So, I mean, we touched on those, right?
Yeah, we definitely did.
Mark, let us know if that scratched the itch for you. I hope it did.
That's insane. 2 psychic moments in this episode. Can we get a third?
I know. But that happened like last week with an email too, like where it was like the email.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's super weird. It just means that we're all connected.
The listeners are tapped into. Yeah.
All right. This next email is Stuart Busire. It says, "Hey guys, it's Stuart from Guernsey. A quick message. Do you think you're going to get around to reviewing Haunted Night this Halloween? I know you've been thinking about it for a couple of years. Do you think this is the year? If so, can you give a little bit of notice so we can all have time to finish it before the show? Hope you guys are doing well and are enjoying your pumpkin season. Is there anything you wouldn't have with pumpkin? Haha, take care, guys. Stuart." Stuart, thank you for the message. Haunted Night, it's certainly likely. I haven't made the decision yet, but I'd say odds are better than even. But yes, if we are going to do it, I'll try to give warning before we do it. And anything I wouldn't have with pumpkin. I know Jamie, the answer is no, because didn't we talk about pumpkin dog treats? And he was like, meh.
Yes, you did.
I think that was a thing. Anything that I wouldn't want with pumpkin. Not that I can think of. I'll tell you, like, there's some pumpkin pie ice cream that is amazing.
Oh my God.
It's so good. I need to go find it because now I want it. I can't think of anything pumpkin-y that I would be like, no. Not off the top of my head. So thanks, Stuart. Next email is from Ulysses George. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I have plenty of questions." Oh, Ulysses, all right. It says, number 1, what do you guys think of the Joker movie, and do you guys think it will inspire elements from The Joker by Lee Bermejo? Number 2, are you guys excited for Batman Damned, the most anticipated comic book of all time by the great Lee Bermejo, the second greatest comic book artist along with Alex Ross with number 1 best. Number 3, have you guys read Joker, Luther, and Batman Noel by Lee Bermejo? If so, why not do a review? Number 4, what's your favorite Harry Potter books and movies? You guys should talk about Harry Potter more. Thanks, and have a good one. So Lee Bermejo Love Fest from Ulysses here. He loves him some Lee Bermejo. All right, I'll let you start, Brendan. Thoughts on
Remind me where we go from the start. So would the movie...
Will the movie take inspiration from the graphic novel?
Look, I hope so, because I like that graphic novel.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be like, obviously not an adaptation or anything, but yeah, I'd be all for it. I'd love to see it. I haven't read it for a while, but I remember getting it day of release and just loving it. And it's one I do pull off the shelf every couple of years. What was next?
Are you excited for Batman Damned?
I think I only found out about Batman Damned yesterday because it was in the DC Comics Instagram story. Because I've said it before, I'm not up to date with comic stuff. Like I'm reading shit from years ago when I do read a comic now. So it's Lee Bermejo, and is Alex Ross part of it as well?
No, I just think he's saying that Lee Bermejo is up with Alex Ross as the best. Look,
if it's sort of like its own storyline and it's not tied into what's going on with the regular comic run, I'll probably pick it up on Comixology and read it as it's coming out, like I've sort of been doing with some of the self-contained stories of late. What was after that?
Have you read Joker, Luther, and Batman Noel?
I haven't read Luther, but it was one of the comics I bought in my $200 spree last year. So I do have it in my Comixology database cloud thing, but I haven't read it yet. But I have read the other two, and I love it. Noel is one that I do read every December. It's a yearly tradition.
Yeah, much like Haunted Night is on deck for a Halloween episode, Noel is on deck for a Christmas episode sooner than later.
Yeah, so it's one that I do read every year. And then was it the Harry Potter question?
Yes. Favorite Harry Potter books and movies?
Book, Prisoner of Azkaban. Movie, maybe the first one, or not Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix. But yeah, I know you can't answer those because you haven't really read whatever. So yeah, but they're my answers.
Cool. So I hadn't heard about Batman Damned until just now, so it was not on my radar, but that's cool. I'm interested. I've read Joker and I've read Noel. I enjoyed both of them. I have not read Luther, but good to know. That's something I could maybe pick up. And yeah, I think all of those are options to do reviews on the show. I have not read the Harry Potter books. So for the movies, my favorite movie is Prisoner of Azkaban. And I know that book fans, that is not the popular choice, but I think it's the one that works. It works the best as a movie. And so I'm just not a big Potter guy. I've seen all the movies and I think they're fine, but the one I like the most is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Hey, guess what, Andy? Menus at restaurants.
I know. And everybody's like, well, you'd like them more if you read the books. And I'm like, well, I shouldn't have to do homework to enjoy a movie. So
exactly.
No.
You can enjoy the Batman movies without reading all the comics.
Yeah. So anyway, but we should talk about more Harry Potter. What? It's a Batman podcast.
Yeah.
but I appreciate the suggestion. All right, one last one here. This is from Pastor Jasmine. It says, "Hey guys, this is my first time writing in to the podcast, which I really enjoy. Thank you so much. I'd like your thoughts on this rumor about the climax of Batman Unchained. Once Scarecrow and Harley Quinn lock Batman up in Arkham Asylum, Scarecrow sprays fear toxin on Batman."
Know where this is going.
Yeah, me too. And once Batman opens his eyes, he not only sees Nicolas Cage's Scarecrow and Courtney Love's Harley Quinn, but he also sees Danny DeVito's Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face, Jim Carrey's Riddler, and finally Jack Nicholson's Joker. Batman, not knowing which is real, fights all the villains at the same time. Eventually, Batman is beaten and driven crazy by his past villains. Just in time, Robin, now as Nightwing, comes back and brings Batman to his senses and ends Scarecrow's fear toxin. Sorry for the long email. I just wanted your thoughts on the climax for this unproduced Batman movie. Pastor, thank you for the message. I've definitely heard variations of this being a big centerpiece in the movie. Brendan, what are your thoughts?
I don't think it would have happened. I know the whole Jack Nicholson thing. If they were going to make another one, apparently he was on board. From all the stories I've heard over the years. I find it funny with the Scarecrow because was it going to be Jeff Goldblum? Was it going to be Nick Cage? Or was it going to be Howard Stern? Like,
the reality is they never got far enough to actually cast it.
Yeah.
So it was. I feel like most of those names are more fan casting than anything.
Yeah, and was it Courtney Love or Madonna for Harley Quinn? Like,
right.
I would look. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have seen that. I thought that would be really cool. I don't think by the time, if they ever did get to that fifth movie, I don't think you'd ever get all those actors in the one room together. I can't see that happening. Maybe one, possibly two. If you're going to get Jack Nicholson, I feel like there's your budget there to try and make that happen. So probably not. I remember. I think even maybe for Batman and Robin, there was a rumor that apparently they were trying to get for the Arkham Asylum scene. They were trying to get Michelle Pfeiffer to be Catwoman, like in one of the cells or something. I remember hearing that.
Wow.
I remember hearing that
I'd
back
never heard that.
in '97, prior to the movie coming out. It's all rumor at this stage. No one's ever that script's under lock and key from what I've heard. So. But yeah, look, as a fan, would have I wanted to see it happen? Sure. Like, it'd kind of be like a Batman wet dream to an extent, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And so much of the speculation around Batman Unchained or Batman Triumphant, there are different names we've heard. I just don't know how much of it's true because, again, they didn't get very far. It got shut down after Batman and Robin hit theaters. So there wasn't a script, I think there were some ideas. I think that, yes, they knew that they wanted to do Scarecrow and Harley Quinn. I believe that, but I just don't know how much of the story was actually worked out. And I don't know how much of this is just fan fiction over the years that has kind of seeped into what was actually planned. And I don't know where that line is drawn, but yeah, if this was actually the climax of the movie and they did get all the villains to come back, hell yeah, that would be amazing. I would have loved that. It would have been so weird, though, to see Jack Nicholson's Joker and George Clooney's Batman, because at that point, it didn't even feel like the same franchise anymore.
No.
So it would have been super bizarre to try to mix all of those. But if they could have done it, I think it would have been awesome. Like you said, Brendan, it would be like, it's total fan service, but it would have been really cool.
How much scenery would be chewed, too, with Jack Nicholson's Joker and Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face in the same... And Jim Carrey's Riddler. My God.
Yeah. So, I would have watched it.
Actually, the miracle would have just been getting Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey back in the same room together, I think.
Yeah. I don't think Tommy Lee Jones even had any interest in coming back, but money talks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting to think about. I think it would have been cool if they could have made it happen. But alas, that's not the way it worked out. But that is it for the Wayne Manor Mailbox. Thank you guys for your questions, for your thoughts. We really do appreciate it. If you've got a question for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of the show. This was a long one, and I thought this was going to be a short one.
Yeah. I regret nothing. I had so much fun.
I really thought, oh, toys, that'll take a half an hour.
Nope.
Little did I know. But I mean, I guess that's what makes us geeks, is we can talk about action figures from our youth for a long time.
And I was disappointed when it ended. I was happy to keep going.
We can do a part 2.
It would be cool actually, like maybe bring, I don't know, if Jamie, if he collected the toys when he was a kid, I mean, he would have probably just had, a hoop and a stick. But no, seriously,
yeah.
if the fans like it, and I mean, look, there's plenty more Batman toys we can talk about, so I'm down anytime.
Well, and to take that idea from Mark, like maybe it's like, oh, let's talk about this line, you know?
I mean, look, we
we
didn't really talk about the animated series line, and that was a huge part of my childhood, and they had so many awesome toys, so you never know.
We could do more. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Brendan, thank you as always for making the time. Where can the folks at home keep up with you?
You can find me at Loey007 on Twitter. You can find my podcast at The Nightlight Pod on Twitter, or at Nightly. I can't even talk. At Podbean. Hang on, I'm losing my own website now. It's been that long. thenightlight.podbean.com. I'll get there eventually. I am planning on recording an episode next weekend for Batman Day. And I did mention last episode, it's one that kind of ties into Holy BatCast a little bit. I'll just say, if you remember back in June, I think it was, I tweeted a photo that I took at a convention, and it kind of blew up on Twitter. It looks like I will be interviewing the person that was in that photo with me, and all about his Batman fandom, and yeah, little nugget for you to keep an eye out for next week for Batman Day. So there will be a new episode coming.
Cool. Awesome. You guys know where to find me, and you hopefully know where to find the show. Thank you, as always, for downloading the show. Please do subscribe on iTunes. Please leave us an iTunes review. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com, like our Holy BatCast page on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube, Holy BatCast. If you've gotten a question or thought for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Or if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, that number is 323-366-9246. If you do leave a voicemail, just say your name and keep it to around a minute. And that'll do it. So on behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Something new in Gotham City.
Wow!
It's Batman, like you've never seen him before.
Hey, Joker, a Batarang surprise! Missed me. Time for a change. That disguise won't work, Joker. No, try this. So long, Batman! That jet, wings out. Fire! You've got great new weapons, Batman. But I don't run out of tricks. You'll need them.
Batman, the Dark Knight Collection. Batman, like you've never seen him before, each sold separately.